And we're coming to you live for the Built Ford Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network. And wherever you are in the free Odyssey app. Good Tuesday morning. Almost a clean sweep. Almost a perfect night for New York sports. But, of course, the Jets had to make that not happen with a miserable loss again. And this time it was, well, this time felt like every other time, where there's too many penalties, too many mistakes, opportunities all over the field to be able to win the game, and they can't get it done. But prior to that, and we'll get to all of it throughout the morning, probably all of it here in this first segment as well, you had two wins from the Mets and the Yankees, and of course the Mets answered back right away with a Francisco Lindor home run and Vientos grand slam. I mean, that was the 2024 Mets right there. They come off a loss where they got smacked around. Boom, right out of the gate, Lindor home run. We're not dead. Build up a big lead, and, of course, it comes down to Edwin Diaz, and we're all screaming and yelling and pulling our hair out, but he gets the job done. So 1-1 heading home. Job done there out in L.A., and the Yankees take care of business in Game 1 against the Guardians. Look like the better team, flex their muscles. Juan Soto, big home run. Giancarlo Stanton, big home run. Bullpen looked great. So the night got off to a phenomenal start. Ended with a thud, but, hey, we got two baseball teams that are winning in their respective league championship series, and I think we start there. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, G. I don't know about you, but I have sensory overload.
Yes.
I mean, holy, my God, I'm telling you, from 4 o'clock on yesterday to about 12:15 last night, it was just nonstop. It was, I had it all going on.
Sure.
Just trying to, keep track of everything and what's happening, and, from the Hail Mary at halftime to the Vientos grand slam to the Rodon pitching to the Edwin Diaz taking us to the cliff, to, I don't know, the Alan Lazard catch at halftime. I mean, I don't know what. It was like you had to have your head on a swivel. And I think you got to start with the Mets. I mean, the way that I think that you characterized it yesterday, you thought that they were going to come back and win. You thought that they would bounce back. This is what they've been known for all year long. Mania was good.
Yeah, very
And then
good.
all of a sudden, it kind of got wonky on him. And then Maton had to come in and save the – He did okay. But there were a couple errors in there. There were a couple, crazy hit balls. And Iglesias has the ball hit off the mound, go under his glove, and that would have been a double play. I mean, things like that were happening. Crazy things started happening. But then Ryan Stanek came in.
Yeah.
And he did a hell of a job. He did a hell of a job, and then he got himself in trouble. And then Diaz comes in, gets the one out, boom, done. Then has to walk the first two guys to start the ninth. And then starts throwing his fastball, which they can't hit. And you can hear Smoltz talking about it, saying, they talked to him about throw your fastball. They can't hit it.
Yeah. Throw it for a strike.
And throw it for a strike. They can't hit it.
Strike.
And basically, he did what he normally does. I mean, when he is on like that, that was him 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, the Mets they're walking too many guys. If you look at these rallies and you look at the times that they have given the Dodgers life in the first two games, it's because they're walking guys. Kodai Senga couldn't throw a strike. The Dodgers got back into the game because of walks. Just throw strikes, especially when you've got a lead. Like, you don't need to walk Shohei Ohtani on 4 pitches when you've got a 4-run lead. Like, go after him. He wasn't hitting the ball anyway.
Yeah, I don't. Obviously, they're not trying to walk people. I would think that Maton was
too much nibbling.
Being careful. Like, you just didn't want to have him hit a home run and all of a sudden change the momentum of the entire game.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to take that into account. I mean, at the end of the day, they win the game. They come back. You said it yesterday. This is the DNA of this baseball team. And to have Lindor lead off with a home run was incredible. That was incredible, especially after all the scoreless innings the Dodgers had.
Yeah. I mean, I said to Gina, because I had to take a nap because I stayed up. I didn't stay up as late as you. I stayed up till the very end of the Jet game.
I'm an idiot.
But I was up at like 11:25, 11:30. But I set my alarm for 4 o'clock to take a nap. I took a nap from 2 to 4 o'clock. And I said, I'm going to set it for 4 o'clock. I'm going to wake up. We're going to watch Francisco Lindor hit a leadoff home run. As Gina as my witness. And that's exactly what happened. She goes,
great,
oh, my
man.
God. But that's the type of team that it is. It's like, okay, it just felt like that. It felt like after all the shutout innings, after the way that the Mets season has gone, like Lindor was going to go up there and be like, okay, enough of this. Whap. And he did.
And again, the great thing is that they intentionally walk him. Dave Roberts over there with his, I don't know. The Dodgers seem to me like they're like a computer chip team.
Yeah, they always have been.
I know that.
Yeah.
I know that. And maybe Dave Roberts felt like, Lindor's hot, and I don't want to give him an opportunity to, to blow the game open here and all this other stuff. So let's walk him. And then Vientos basically says after the game, I take that as a slight.
Yeah, and you saw him in the video in the replay when Dave Roberts says go and walk him. Vientos is like,
okay.
Put sunglasses. He's just like, okay. And I love the fact that he took it personally, but I mean, the way Lindor has been hitting and first base open, I don't think it was a bad call or a slap in the face, but the fact that he took it personally was awesome. And I love the fact that he said that.
All right, Lindor's been the spark plug. I'm right there with you, but let me just tell you something. Vientos has been great.
He's been great.
He's been great since when he finally got up here, and he has been the answer that the Mets have been looking for at third base for how many since David Wright left.
Yeah,
and I'm telling you, this kid is great. Now I don't even want to talk about the offseason. I just want to talk about yesterday and what he did. His battle with on that at bat was amazing. Fouling pitches off, and you could tell he was on. He wasn't swinging at bad pitches.
Yeah,
and he was on it. You could see that he was on it. And then one meatball comes right down the middle. And as soon as he hit it, you could hear it.
Well, I mean, that's what happens when you work the count. You get the 3-2. It's the bases loaded. Like, okay, let's go. Mano y mano, I'm going to challenge you, and Vientos wins. And, Carlos Mendoza has talked a lot about the slow heartbeat of this team, and there's a lot of guys that fit into that category. And the number one guy is obviously Francisco Lindor, and I think it's rubbed off on Vientos as well. At no point did he look nervous or the situation was too big for him. But there are a couple guys, though, that as this series goes on, it's going to be tough, that I think need to take that page from Lindor.
I know who you do. I know who you're talking about.
Lindor and Vientos, and slow down the heartbeat a little bit. And I'm not. It's awesome they won the game. I'm not trying to be critical, but
yes.
they didn't need to sweat this out if Francisco Alvarez could have come up one of those times with runners on base. I mean, he is an automatic out at this point, and he's swinging through his shoes. He's trying too hard. And I also got to throw Iglesias in there. He is swinging and missing at pitches that he was not offering at during the regular season when he hit 337. I mean, he is chasing, and he's trying a little bit too hard at the plate as well.
Well, there was after the error and after the strikeouts, like, okay, now we know why this guy was down in the minor leagues and nobody wanted to sign him.
Right. And
I mean, so now he's had those moments.
Yep.
And now it's time. Everybody's got to relax and look for that slow heartbeat again.
Right. It's just, and we know those guys can do it. And they have, and they've proven it to us. I just feel like those guys are trying a little bit too hard. Like, I need to see that Vientos mentality out of Francisco Alvarez at the plate, which is like, hey, I'm supposed to be here. Like, I'm the guy in this situation, and not just like, ah! Like every time he swings the bat, he's just ah! Like, come on, just chill out, take some pitches, relax. Like, just try, like, just be a hitter and not like a complete, nutso person.
I just want to say this. He's 22 years old.
I know, but I mean,
and this is the way he's always been. And as I was saying yesterday, if he catches one, he's gonna hit it out of Chavez Ravine.
Yeah, I know.
So he is in the midst of just a prolonged slump, but he still is the catcher. He's still behind the plate. He still plays defense. And, he's a huge part of the team. You know that, and I know that. And they're not going to change anything about what's going on. They'll talk to him. They'll try to get him through it in different ways, but they're not sitting him down.
No,
he's going to be out there, and he needs to chill. Yes, I agree with you.
And I think it's all a mentality thing, and that's why I think guys like, well, I don't know if Vientos will talk to him because he's also a young guy, but it's up to those players and Lindor to recognize it and somebody to say it. Be like, listen, man, you're better than this. I understand it's a big moment, and I understand you want to be a hero, and we've had these big moments, and you want it to be you, but just you got a better chance of being that hero if you chill out just a little bit. It's just like you're gripping a bat a little bit too tight.
And he's swinging up, and everything's popping up, everything's short. Like a couple times, all you need is a fly ball out to the outfield.
I mean, and he could have blown that game open several times, and then we wouldn't have had to use Stanek and Diaz and everybody and have our hearts in our throats again. But hey, none of these games are easy. The fact that the Dodgers had a cakewalk in Game 1 is a rarity. And I was thinking too, like the way that, and John Smoltz made me feel so much better about this Senga thing. Did you hear him walk through everybody with the whole, setting up with Minaya and Game 6 and 7 and Severino? And I thought to myself, I was like, as much as I hated the Senga situation, as bad as he pitched, I mean, if they would have pitched Minaya in Game 1, I don't know if they would have won the game because Flaherty was just unbelievable in that game. So then you would have wasted your best guy. So now, okay, you come back 1-1, which is what you wanted to do. You had Minaya there in Game 2 to make sure he didn't come back down 0-2. And now you've got the rotation set up exactly the way that you want it the rest of the way, where your horses are going to be going in the most important games.
Well, that's Carlos Mendoza, and that's his coaching staff. That's the front office. That's the analytics guys. That's, being smart about how do you get a split. If you can steal Game 1, great. But you got to get at least a split to come home with that.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what they got. And Minaya was good enough. I mean, he just fell apart there in the 6th inning. It was just
he was great up until that. I mean, he was flat out great.
He was really unfortunate because I wish he would have gotten through 6 like Rodon did last night. I mean,
and hats off to him. He deserves all the credit. I mean, absolutely all the credit. And Yankee fans who have been on him, of course, they want him to succeed. But if you don't perform and you're overly emotional and you're doing all the gyrations and stuff that Carlos Rodon has done as his career as a Yankee and not perform, people are going to get on you. But they loved him last night. And it's funny because, you talked about, and as we were talking about sort of Francisco Alvarez, you mentioned, just put those emotions in your back pocket if you're Carlos Rodon.
Exactly.
And he made a conscious effort in doing that. There was a distinct difference in his demeanor last night on the mound that ended up working out. I mean, it was like, just chill out, man. Like, let's pretend you're supposed to be here. Let's pretend this is July. Let's pretend that you're the guy that got that $100 million contract and not someone who's fighting for his life against the Yankee fan. And he was great. So if the Yankees are going to continue this championship run, get to the World Series, he's going to have to be a huge part of it. And that was
a hell of a performance.
Gigantic. And his teammates probably loved to see that finally. It's just a big game, big performance from a guy who desperately needed it.
I was saying, if I could have talked to him yesterday before the game, I said, look, man, you got the stuff.
Yeah.
You don't need all the other crap going along with it.
Right.
Just focus in, get yourself so locked in that the emotion won't even be a part of it, that you'll go about your business and you'll have your stuff. And he had his stuff last night. He had to bring it last night. That was a pressure point spot for him in particular. Not because of the lineup he was facing. It was because of where, this game falls on the schedule. It falls Game 1, ALCS. You're the starting pitcher.
At home,
in front of your fans.
Yeah. Yep.
And your fans and you have had a love-hate relationship.
Oh, yeah.
So now they love you. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to act like a jackass on the mound. All you have to do is go out there and use the great stuff that you have. And he did that. And that was the thing that I was hoping to see from him. And I think most Yankee fans would agree with me that just take the emotion. Like it's great when you're like a linebacker. You got to play emotionally. You got to be intense all the time. But then when you're a pitcher or a quarterback, you have to dial it back. And you got to dial it back to a point where you can see what's happening. You can kind of predict what's going on, and you can use your God-given ability because he's got great stuff. When he is on and his brain doesn't get in his way, you can see what he did last night. I mean, till the lefties couldn't touch him.
Yeah. I mean, it was the best I've seen him pitch in a Yankee uniform. All of us have seen him pitch in a Yankee uniform in the biggest of spots. So, they look like a team that is, I mean, I don't want to dismiss the Guardians, but that was a, Soto home run, Stanton home run, Rodon in the bullpen shutting them down. I mean, that was like if you could
Luke
build.
Weaver was just like, boom, boom,
yeah, I mean,
boom,
he's pitching better than anybody right now in the bullpen.
And Clay Holmes is good too. I mean, that was like, and by the way, I mean, you don't expect the team to play as poorly as the Guardians did. I mean, 4 wild pitches in a game?
Right. I mean, that was an ugly start, ugly inning. That was,
you can't expect that again. I mean,
No.
they the home runs are one thing, but, you know, the walks and the wild pitches and giving up bases, and giving up runs. I mean, by the way, 2 things that happened yesterday I thought were very interesting. You remember when Pete Alonso came around third and he dove into home plate?
Yeah.
I mean, that was great by Pete.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was hustling his ass off.
He was hustling. He knew he was going to go all the way, and he hit the base right. And they were talking about the base running, how you turn around the base and you come down the baseline. That was great. I mean, that was great to see.
Another Pete Alonso pat on the back, the stretch on the double play that got them out of that critical inning in the 7th.
Yeah, that was where the ball went under his glove.
Right.
Freddie Freeman was, it was like standing in front of Igor Shesterkin.
Right, but here it is here. Vientos, Iglesias, Alonso with Kike Hernandez up.
Explain this to me. What? On this particular play, the Dodgers called for 2 reviews.
Yeah, I don't.
What the hell was that all about? You talk about a waste of time.
No, what I think after thinking about this is, so you're allowed to use one challenge on that whole play. So because there's been like neighborhood situations at second base on double plays for many, many years. So like, why not, if we can challenge both of them, just challenge both of them and see if we can.
I mean, it was clear as day that Iglesias had his foot on the bag.
Yeah, it was. So, I mean.
And by the way, I didn't realize that runners were allowed to slide into guys covering the bases like this.
Yeah, I know.
What about that?
Yeah, I know. I mean, it was, it wasn't as like horribly egregious as we've seen, but. Yeah, he did not.
That was Chase Utley-esque?
It wasn't that bad.
You don't think so?
It wasn't that bad, no. Iglesias was in a spot, too. I mean, it wasn't that bad because he was sliding into the base. He wasn't sliding into him.
I swear to God, I thought Chase Utley. I saw the freaking Dodger uniform. I thought, because obviously he went there late in his career.
Right.
I was thinking Chase Utley again.
Well, thank God that didn't happen. And everybody's fine. And Pete Alonso with the big stretch and getting that done. I mean, that was as big of a play in the game as there was. All right, we've got plenty more to get to. Jerry Recco joins us. Of course, we're going to spend a lot of time on the Jets' loss to the Bills as well on this very busy Tuesday morning on The Fan. It's Boomer and Gio.